Okay, every pony, here I am again, Visual Pony, and I'm about to bring you the 7th chapter of my very own story, Children of the Night. There is something I have to say here. It is a little announcement for my Lonely Dr. Hoof's story, which I will put on hiatus. I will not continue it as of now because I'm working on another project right now, another reading to be precise, which takes a lot of time because the chapters are very long. I will release that one once I have all the chapters that are out up to date out, or better, when I have read them all. Until then, my only updates will be Children of the Night readings. Hope you understand that. And now let's get on with chapter 7. Children of the Night, Chapter 7. Information and Rumors. Celestia and Luna stood in front of 6 ponies alongside Moonsinger, who had gathered the local law enforcers. Luna knew all of them. There was Flametail, with his fire-red mane and tail, which contrasted with his light green coat. She remembered that he always had been the most sensitive among her children. Even she had set him off sometimes. With just a few words she didn't mean like he understood them. Next to him stood his biological brother, Starfire. The twins shared the same colorations, but couldn't have been more different. While Flametail in his earlier years could have been called a crybaby, so was Starfire the enthusiast who did everything to prove ponies wrong who tried to pick on him for something. Instead of hiding somewhere in the garden, he would confront them head on. "I am pleased all of you answered my summons," Luna addressed her children, their eyes sparkling with joy at the prospect that they had pleased their mother. All were smiling, except Starfire. His eyes did have the same expression as the others, but his face wore an annoyed frown. Obviously, he could have taken it as an insult if any of his brothers or sisters had not come here immediately once their mother called. Celestia stepped forward, making the 6 ponies lose the joyful sparkle in their eyes, but no one argued. They knew who this pony was, and, due to their mother's teachings, they owed her a certain amount of respect. "I am pleased to meet you all. I'm Celestia, and I would like to ask for your assistance in reclaiming my kingdom. Your mother and I rule." The group was dumbstruck as they heard her introduce herself without her title. It was only then that they all noticed that she was not wearing her crown. She was not asking them as a princess who could demand that her will be fulfilled, but she came here on even ground. She addressed them just as one pony to another. This gesture alone let her rise in every pony's opinion. They wouldn't take any orders from her, but this was the first step to better relations between Celestia and her sister's children. All of them looked at Luna as if asking what to say to this, or if she wanted them to reply positively, but Luna just shook her head. "You will have to decide this one for yourself, my children. Do you want to help Celestia, or do you want to turn her down, so she has to try and find another way to drive the changelings out?" Luna saw that no pony was about to speak up. They never had met Celestia before, and it surely was quite rare in the garden to meet a new pony. Sighing, she decided to let them vote instead. Back in the day, she had done that sometimes when her children had problems with a decision. "Okay, who of you wants to turn down Celestia?" 3 hooves rose into the air. This would be a tie, Luna thought, but Moonsinger took things over from there. "And who wants to help her drive these insects out from our former homeland?" Again 3 hooves rose, or so Luna thought at least, before she looked over to her daughter, who had raised her hoof in agreement to the subject, a wide smile on her face. True, they had quite the way to go, Celestia and Moonsinger. But having breakfast together and having a chance to talk in great lengths had softened her daughter up a bit. "Vote passed. Okay then, you 6, get lost. Get to the other branches and tell them to repeat the vote. Those who vote in favor of this are to rally here in Gemini. Also, Starfire, stop by Moonlight Farm and let them know that we will need way more supplies than usual." Moonsinger ordered her squad, who was used to her sometimes rough tone. This didn't stop Flex, a blue Earth Pony mare, to ask a question. "So, what of those who do not want to agree to help her? What are we to tell them?" Tell them that I am very disappointed with them, Luna told Flax before the Earth Pony flinched and galloped off. The idea of disappointing Luna was obviously too much to bear for her. The other 5, 3 Pegasi and 2 unicorns, got to their tasks as well, the Pegasi flying off while the unicorns teleported away. "Well, I think this went pretty well, don't you think so, Celestia?" frowned Moonsinger, trying to hide her irritation. "Well, they didn't seem to like me very much." "Can you blame them? You banished me to the moon, and it took me 1,000 years to break the element's spell that bound me. What would you think of a pony who took away our mother from us?" "Yeah, you're probably right. So, Auntie, what do you plan to do now? I think most of the others will vote in favor of helping you, since it's also the kingdom our dear mother rules." Moonsinger actually had started to call Celestia that shortly after breakfast, teasing her with her age, even so she herself was not that much younger than the princess. Just as she had hoped, Celestia frowned a bit, being addressed like that, even so she had told Singer not to. "Well, I suppose we need some pony to leave the barrier and gather some information on the situation in Equestria. We must know what we are up against, not to mention to find out how bad it is." "Oh, I think I can help you with that, Auntie. You know, there are ponies born here, but not all stay here forever. Some leave the barrier to live in your Equestria. They only return here once a month or so to replenish the spark of our mother's magic. 'Cause, as you already know, without contact for too long, we die," Moonsinger stated while the trio left the town square. But she did not lead the sisters to the inn in which they had stayed during the day, but to a small house at the edge of town. It looked like rarely any pony lived here. The garden was wild, and the house was in a state that demanded a reconstruction rather than a renovation. "Moonsinger, so who lives here?" "Not to worry, Mother. This house is used by several ponies. Usually those born here in Gemini, but decided to leave the barrier. Sometimes up to 20. But mostly it's just 2 or 3 coming at once." "But why didn't you keep it in a better shape? I surely taught you better when it comes to family." At this, Moonsinger frowned once again. "We usually wouldn't have them let leave, but we came to an agreement. As long as they are no strain on our society, they are free to come and leave as they please. We even installed a portal in each of these safe houses that teleports them directly to Ponyville, which is the closest settlement to our forest. All we ask in return is that they take care of their houses themselves, or at least ask for our help. The problem is that most of them have cut their ties with us and don't ask in the first place, so—" "Would you stop talking already? If you want something, then just knock, but don't stand out there talking about us as if we aren't there." Celestia was in utter shock, and so was the unicorn when she recognized the 2 princesses that accompanied Moonsinger. As she realized to whom she had just lashed out, she bowed and muttered an apology. "Vinyl Scratch?" "Yeah, I know my name. So, Your Highness, what brings you to my humble dwelling?" Vinyl sat on her haunches, obviously curious why the Princess of the Sun would be in the Garden of Shadows, but also annoyed at the nightly intrusion, resulting in her tone being more of a taunt. "Well, But Celestia was too shocked to see the pony whom she had hired to provide the music at the Canterlot wedding, coming from a house that was supposed to house the ponies who wanted to replenish their magical spark. Vinyl, I think you broke her." This statement from Moonsinger made Vinyl return to her usual self and break out in loud laughter, as a grey Earth Pony mare with black mane and a pink bow tie stepped up behind her. "What is all this ruckus about, Vinyl? It's late, and I want to get some rest." But seeing the cellist she had hired for the Grand Galloping Gala was too much for Celestia, and she fainted. "Oh boy, this will certainly be interesting," Vinyl said, walking back into the house, making Octavia give way while Luna levitated her sister inside. In the living room, she put her down onto an ancient-looking sofa that surely had seen better days. "So, Moony, what brings you here tonight? Usually you just come by when I have my music too loud or when you—" "That is totally not why I'm here, Vinyl. We are here to see if you know something about the situation in Equestria. And who is that?" Moonsinger aimed the hoof at Octavia, who was trying to clean up the living room a bit, since she seemed to be embarrassed having the princesses in this environment. Vinyl broke out in another fit of laughter, while Luna settled herself on the ground next to the sofa, a little worried about her injured sister. "That is Octavia, my mare friend. I'm pretty sure I told you about her before. And there's nothing to be embarrassed about. That bright light bores you sometimes." Vinyl winked meaningfully at Moonsinger, who blushed a bit. She surely didn't want her mother to hear this. "So, you want to know the situation shortly before Octi and I fled, correct?" Vinyl became serious, waving a hoof to Octavia to sit next to her. As she did, Moonsinger nodded. "The situation was bad, and I mean real bad. The changelings don't care if they hurt any pony. The citizens of Ponyville, and especially Big Mac from the Apple family, fought back with great effort when the attack started, but even so they could only stall the result of the battle. Had they just surrendered, many would still be alive, but I can understand why they didn't. Octavia and I joined the fray at the very beginning and got captured. Before they could hornlock me, however, I teleported us to the small cave near the forest, which contains the portal that brought us here. After we passed through, I destroyed it. The others from Ponyville wouldn't have made it, and I couldn't save them. Before we managed to escape, however, I heard the guards. They were talking about the elements of harmony being captured by Chrysalis herself. What their fate might be, I do not know, but yesterday they were still alive. All I can tell you is this. All of Equestria has been overrun simultaneously. It must have taken an incredible amount of planning to have all of them attack at exactly the same time. I think they planned this ever since they failed to take over Canterlot the last time." Vinyl Scratch took off her sunglasses to wipe away some tears that had begun to trickle down her face halfway through her report. She had seen close friends of herself die in battle for Ponyville. Barry Punch, Colgate, Derpy Hooves. All of them had fought to defend their home, but had been disposed of by the more experienced changelings. She hated herself for only having saved Octavia, the pony she loved so much. There had been so many others who had been captured rather than killed, but she didn't even try to save any of them. Moonsinger listened to the story of a swift but effective attack made by the changelings. The very idea frightened her. They had even tried to get into the garden many times, but it always had been straightforward attacks. The one described by her mother and Vinyl just didn't seem anywhere near the usual changeling tactics she knew. Changelings attacking with an actual plan? That could be so damn dangerous, even for the garden. Chrysalis knew of this place, so it was just logical that she would come here next. Steps had to be taken. The situation was more dire than she had estimated. Apparently the changeling queen had learned from past mistakes. This could prove a disaster, if Chrysalis absorbed enough feelings to actually break the barrier. She had tried to do that before, but her power hadn't been enough that time. If she succeeded, in her eyes she would gain a new feeding ground for her subjects. The truth, however, was more grim. If Chrysalis brought it down, then all of them would die in a few weeks' time. The spark inside them would just wither away. Had this started out as a matter of recapturing Equestria, so it had now turned into a matter of protecting the very existence of the garden itself. Okay, every pony, that was chapter 7 by the name of Nightly Visitors. I forgot to mention that at the beginning, I think, but doesn't matter. Okay. Sincerely yours, Visual Pony.